Normally, when talking about poverty, it is often, if not always, related to the rural sector. Although poverty is a universal problem, its high occurrence and incidence in the rural sector makes it predominantly a rural phenomenon. Since gaining independence from British colonial rule in 1957, the Malaysian government has placed a lot of emphasis in rural development, which has always been considered an important agenda of national development. Such in the case of Malaysia, many of the poor population living below the poverty line reside in rural areas, while the poor residing in urban areas only accounts for a very small percentage. Many steps were undertaken by the government to close this gap on the issues of rural and urban disparities by means of commencing various programs and initiatives to facilitate rural development. In general, rural development can be seen as the process of change carried out deliberately for the betterment of rural people. The Ministry of Rural Development and other role-specific agencies continue to play a vital role in rural development. Today, we will discuss the three domain topics of rural development, that is, rural economic development, human capital development, and finally, rural infrastructure development.
The three domains discussed in our project is infrastructure, economy, and human capital. The government policies in regards to rural development were created to meet five main objectives. Of these objectives, our project focused on the first, second, and fifth objective, which are first, to boost development in rural areas and narrow the rural-urban economic gap. The second objective is to increase the ability of rural areas to generate better income. The fifth objective is to further improve the quality of life in rural areas by increasing physical and social infrastructures and improve health and education facilities. The strategies by which the objectives can be met were translated into 6 pillars. From the 6 pillars, the policies and programs we discussed fall under the first, the third, and the sixth pillar, which are basic infrastructure development, human capital development, and rural industrial development.
The first strategy to achieve the objective stated earlier is the development of basic infrastructure, especially in rural areas. Infrastructure can be defined as the structures or utilities needed that we need in order for us to carry out our daily activities. Under the Rural Development Programme, we have chosen 3 initiatives, which are clean water supply, 24-hour electricity supply, and also road improvements. Under the Clean Water Supply Initiative, a program called the Rural Water Supply Program or Bekalan Air Luar Bandar was launched, and it has been implemented since 1971 under the Second Malaysia Plan. The stakeholders involved are the Ministry of Rural Development and the state-level water operators. Their aim is to provide clean and treated water supply to the rural communities with a targeted achievement of 90%. To achieve this, the ministry will have to play its role by providing fundings for the projects. On the other hand, the water supply operators of each state will carry out projects of building new water facilities or upgrading the existing facilities to ensure constant supply of clean water for everyone.
Under the 24-hour electricity supply initiative, the government created the Rural Electricity Supply Program or Bekalan Elektrik Luar Bandar. The stakeholders of this program are the Ministry of Rural Development and private and public electric utility companies like Tenaga Nasional and Sabah Electricity. Their goal is to ensure continuous and reliable access to 24-hour electricity in rural areas. This is done by connecting villages to the main electricity grid or developing and supplying the technology needed for alternative energy supplies. Next is the Road Improvement Initiative. Under this initiative, the government has created 2 programs by which to achieve their targets. First is the Rural Road Program or Jalan Luar Bandar, and second is the Village Road Program or Project Jalan Kampung. These programs were originally launched in 1977 through the Accelerated Rural Road Program. The main stakeholders for these projects are the Ministry of Rural Development, the Malaysia Public Works Department or JKR, and private road construction companies like the Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak. Their main goal is to improve and expand rural connectivity through the road systems. This is done through building paved or equivalent roads with proper finishings like railings and signage.
Next, we will be looking into the impacts of having better rural infrastructure. Firstly, in the political sector, more partnerships among relevant ministries and agencies will be developed, which will attract more investors to invest in the projects. The relationship between the federal and state governments will also be strengthened, as they will have to work hand in hand to develop the rural areas. Economically, better rural infrastructure will encourage productivity of rural businesses. The rural community will also be exposed to more job opportunities, which helps in the expansion of rural entrepreneurship programs. From the social aspect, the quality of life in rural areas will definitely be improved, and unity across different ethnicity will be enhanced. Finally, in the technological sector, there will be a wider use of modern and innovative technologies. Rural areas will also gain more access to transport services to connect them to outside areas and vice versa. Other than that, the supply of water and electricity nationwide will also be increased.
As shown in this quantitative analysis table, the Rural Infrastructure Development Programs has successfully created new paved and unpaved roads and increased the percentage of population with access to reliable clean water and electricity.
Economy. Economy is a system of organization that facilitates in the production and distribution of goods and services. Rural poverty has been an issue to Malaysia economic development. This problem should be solved in order to reduce poverty. As we know, most of the rural areas are rich in natural resources and empty lands. They can utilize the lands for agricultural purposes and hence export the production. However, due to insufficient of basic infrastructure and knowledges, the rural communities are limited to involve themselves in economic development. Therefore, our government has carried out various initiatives to improve the economic development in rural areas. In these slides, we will talk about three initiatives which are increase job opportunities, empower rural economy, and increase income in rural areas. Increased job opportunities. The Rural Business Challenge Program, RBC, is a program initiated by Ministry of Rural and Regional Development in year 2012. It is specially for Malaysian youths aged from 18 to 40 years old. Through this program, RBC competition was created to select youth entrepreneurs to develop rural economy. The participants have to prepare a business plan that shall be carried out in rural areas. Then the successful selected youths will receive business grants and carry out the proposed business project under the supervision and monitoring of Ministry of Rural and Regional Development. These programs create job opportunities and hence increase the standards of living.
Empower Rural Development. Sustainable Village, or in Malay known as Desa Lestari, is a program initiated by the Ministry of Rural and Regional Development for the villages. The selected villages will be required to set up cooperative with function as the planner and implementation of various economic projects. MRRD can help by providing infrastructure or a building which will be used as the headquarters or office for the cooperative. Through this program, the villagers can carry out various economic activities which will make the village a high income and self-sustaining village. Not only that, the village will also be less dependent on government's financial aid. Increased income. As compared to the previous mentioned programs, Mobilepreneur program started on 2016 by the Ministry of Rural and Regional Development, and its targeted group are the citizens of B40 group where their income falls below 3,860 ringgit Malaysia. MRRD encourages this B40 group of people to take up business as their second source of income. They are expected to carry out services related to repair jobs like repairing electrical appliances, repairing shoes, and others which require technical skills. MRRD can help them by providing basic tools or giving workshops to increase their skills level. With these extra sets of skills, the citizen should be able to generate a handsome amount of additional income, and they should spend the hard-earned money wisely to increase their living standard. In this quantitative analysis table, it can be seen that all the achievements have reached the targets. This signifies that the programs carried out by the government had successfully met their initiatives as mentioned earlier. Thus, we hope that the rural economy can contribute by increasing the country's GDP, reduce poverty, and decrease the income disparity gap.
In this slide, we will talk about human capital development. This is one of the main areas that the Ministry of Rural Development heavily focuses on. This area plans to accelerate the achievements of rural human capital towards a developed and high-income salary. The pillar's focal point is encouraging entrepreneurship and enhancing quality lifestyle. From this, there are three initiatives that are set to improve rural areas, which includes competencies, knowledge, social and personal attributes. There are e-business, social welfare and training programs, and rural growth and development centers. In this presentation, we will be explaining the overview of rural settlers' growth that will result in the exclusion from extreme poverty and ultimately enhances inclusiveness towards an equitable society. E-business. In this initiative, the One Akhiri Zaman Miskin or One Azam program is designed to create better opportunities that will generate better income for the low-income earners and the hardcore poor families. There are three exclusive agencies that contribute in the success of this program. They are Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, Department of Agriculture Sarawak, and Sabah Department of Agriculture and Food Industries. Their main role is to improve the livelihood of rural people with the aid of digital enhancement into agro-based industries. Their cause is to provide loans to early entrepreneurship amongst low-income households. With that being said, the impact from their contribution will increase the living standard and increase commercial and economic activities. Social welfare and training programs. The next area is Rural Community Enrichment Program. This program acts to provide technical and vocational training skills to youth in rural areas to enable them in acquiring skills as preparation to become a skilled workforce and highly competent entrepreneurs. The implemented agencies who are involved are Giat Mara and Jawatan Kuasa Kemajuan dan Keselamatan Kampung Persekutuan or JKKP. Their main function as an institution is to provide facilities and training programs that associate with socio-economic growth to obtain holistic achievement. Their basis is also to provide a platform for rural communities to gain high-quality education, and with their influence, they will create a competent educators and fresh graduates in order to contribute back to the development of the nation.
The following initiative is the Mini Rural Transformation Centres. Established by the government, mini RTCs are one-stop centres that offer various services to cater to the needs of rural people. The agency involved in the supervision of this program is Jabatan College Community, who play an important role in providing training opportunities and local services to increase the employment marketability of rural people. This cause is to provide services such as One Malaysia Information Kiosk Centre, financial facilities and agri-food business development centres. The impact of this program includes skill enhancement, increased standard of living and increased socio-economic activities. In this table, we can see that these are the overall achievements the government has successfully conducted through these initiatives.
Overall, we have talked about the development of rural infrastructure, economy and also human capital. To conclude, here are some suggestions for improvement in said domains. For infrastructure projects, better oversight is needed to ensure good governance, to improve efficiency and to reduce misuse of funding. In economy, the rural community should get more involved in local businesses such as the tourism industry to diversify their economic activities. From the human capital aspect, the government should improve the services provided by carrying out quality control in all domains.